Hi booktube, Aaron here. Hope you're doing okay. Today I've got a book haul for you, a nice pile of books. And some of them are books I picked up on holiday, other, I don't know, they just turned up. And I'll start with the books that I got while I was on holiday. And I went to Paris, me and Jasmine went to Paris, and it was very, very lovely, lots of walking around, which I love doing. I just love kind of getting to know a place, and to be fair, we never really got that lost. But normally, if I was if I was by myself, I'd probably just get really, really lost, and eventually it all works out. But obviously, in Paris, if you're, I suppose, an English speaker and you're into books, then Shakespeare and Co is a place that you'll just end up in. And so we picked up a few books in Shakespeare and Co. I brought a list with me of books to look out for, and I didn't buy any of those books while I was there. So the first that I picked up was Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman, and this is the Deathbed edition. So he was reworking and revising these poems and adding more poems to this collection all through his life. And then this is the very last version that, so they call it the Deathbed edition. And it's a lovely floppy, who are these guys again? Modern Library edition. I don't really see these too much over here in the UK. So it was quite cool to see it. I've got one other Modern Library edition of the American Transcendentalists, so it fits in quite nicely with Whitman. But yeah, I love the way they look. I love that cover. I love this sort of coppery sort of colour. It just seems really classy, and the way it just kind of flops open, and the quality of the paper, the print, everything is just really lovely. So I'm looking forward to spending some time with Whitman at some point, because it's been a long time. Next up, a French poet, Francis Ponge. This is Unfinished Ode to Mud. I think it's really like his selected poems. And yeah, I've come across Ponge in some anthologies of prose poetry. So there's quite a lot of prose poetry in here. I think he wrote some sort of verse stuff as well. I'm flicking through to see, I don't know. But he is a great poet of just things, of objects, and kind of getting you to sort of feel or almost kind of see the world through those objects, I suppose. And he just describes things kind of recklessly and, well, relentlessly probably is the better word. And so he's got poems about rain and doorknobs and things like that. Or no, he's got a poem about just people walking through doorways, I think, and it's just great, because he just writes about what no one else would think to write about. Next up, one of my favourites, and I was really excited to see this when I was in the bookshop, and it's the Book of Imaginary Beings by Borges, so one of my all-time favourite writers. This is a lovely Penguin Deluxe edition that, if you can see the spine, just how sort of worked away that and it's supposed to look, and then it's got the deckled edges and the French flaps and everything, and it just kind of looks sort of perfect, for this kind of book. It's just the kind of book I always want to have around, and it's kind of like a mini encyclopedia of weird animals and creatures from literature and mythology. This is translated by Andrew Hurley, illustrated by Peter Sees, so it's got all these wonderful illustrations all throughout. So just a weird, wacky book, and I'm just excited to have it and to just dip into it when I'm in the mood. And then we also picked up Breakfast at Tiffany's. I think it's got other stories in there at the back as well, by Truman Capote, and Jasmine sort of binged through this really quickly while we were over there. So they're all the books that we got on holiday in Paris. A couple of things that turned up while I was away, I think. And I haven't really mentioned this on the channel that much, but I'm subscribed to a poetry a poetry magazine called Rattle, and from the few that I've sort of subscribed to and read, this is one of my favourites. I think they order all of their poems, or all of their poets. Yeah, they just ordered the poets, but like alphabetically by last name in every issue, and they tend to always have range, so they don't necessarily have a particular aesthetic that they're trying to bring out. Instead, they just really recognise quality, which is really quite cool to see. So you're just getting a taste of all different kinds of poetry, and it's not always really well-known poets. There's all sorts of stuff. Sort of a weird experimental box poem, and then something else there. So this I think this is issue 79. Turned up while I was away, and what they're doing at the moment is, with every issue, they're also sending out like a chapbook, because they print chapbooks as well. They have like a chapbook prize, and this is one of their I can't speak. One of their chapbook prize winners. This is The Flight Journal by John W. Evans. So I don't really know anything about this, but just slowly accumulating this little collection of poetry chapbooks, which are great just to dip into. They never take too much time to read, so I haven't really spent much time with them. I just tend to leaf through them when I first get them, but it's pretty cool. And then here are some books that have just turned up since I came back. So we've got in the town where I live, there's a little bookshop, sort of bookstall in the market, and people just seem to leave books there. So it seems like more books go in there than come out. So it can be difficult if you're going in there to look for something specifically. You're not going to find it because it's just a bit of a mess in there. It is kind of ordered alphabetically, but then there are stacks of books in front of the shelves, so it's not, you can't always get to every part of the alphabet. But I picked up a few things over the last week or so. So there's Fathers and Sons by Turgenev. Never read anything by Turgenev, but a nice Penguin classic. I'm really coming to enjoy sort of this era of Penguin classics, just sort of how they feel, how they read. And it's lovely yellow. I just love how yellow that is. Just an aside there. Then a biography of Yeats. So I went there a couple of weeks ago, and then I came back this week, today. So I picked up some Yeats, a biography of Yeats called The Man in His Masks by Richard Ellman. A lovely big sort of Faber edition there. I have a rough idea of Yeats's life, but I've never really gone deep and read a biography of him. So I think this is kind of going to give me a rough idea of his life or his personality throughout, sort of as things go on. I'll find out. I'll let you know. And then next up, I saw the spine of this and felt really quite scared for it. As you can see, this is Madame Bovary, and it's an old Penguin classic, and it's when they had the little dust jackets for the paperbacks. So the dust jacket itself is, kind of gone. It's dead. But the actual book itself isn't too worse for wear. So this is, Madame Bovary. Never read it. It's one of those books that I would love to get to at some point. I'd love to have around. So now I've got a copy. I think I've got it on my Kindle as well, but you never know. Then we've got The Leopard by Giuseppe di... Giuseppe... I'm really not speaking very well today, sorry. Giuseppe di Lampedusa? No. Lampedusa. There we go. And it's just one of those books that, again, people just bring up as being one of those just really, really great books of the 20th century. I mean, it's there on the front. Perhaps the greatest novel of the century there, and that's L.P. Hartley. No idea who that is. But yeah, I've just heard it's really, really good. It just sort of, it comes up every now and then, but no one ever really says that much about what actually happens in it. And so I'll find out, because it makes it all the more mysterious that way. So I might love it, I might hate it, but I'm really intrigued. And again, it's in really quite good conditions. So some of the books at this bookstall, because they just tumble around and get thrown around, are really worse for wear. But that's, yeah, those two, with the exception of that dust jacket, they're in pretty good condition. And then a few books that I bought new. I saw this fairly recent publication, like a new / old version of the Duino Elegies by Rilke. And I've read and really enjoyed Rilke in the past. And this is the first English translation, and it was by the Sackville West, so by Vita Sackville West and Edward Sackville West. I think they were cousins. And it was done for the Hogarth Press, so Virginia and Leonard Woolf, and they, I think, printed like 300 copies, and then for whatever reason they decided to go with another translation, and then that translation just got printed more and more and more, and sort of became the foundational translation for Rilke in English in the 20th century. And so this translation kind of got forgot and sidelined and wasn't really read. And then Pushkin Press found it and decided to publish it. So it's, yeah, sort of an old new translation of Rilke. This is, out of all the books I picked up, I've already started reading it because I was just so excited to find it. And I've been reading it alongside, because I already have the Duino Elegies in the poetry of Rilke, and this is the Edward Snow translation. And what I've been doing is I've just been going through, and I've been reading the Edward Snow translation and sort of alongside the Sackville West translation, just to sort of get an idea and sort of sink deeper into the poem. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that, and it's been fun sort of doing a bit of a side by side. So we'll see how that goes. I've only read the first elegy so far, and then we're up to the last two now. So we've got A Time of Gifts by Patrick Leigh Fermor, and I've been wanting to read this for ages, and then I got a bit of a kick up the butt by seeing that Mark from Book Time with Elvis and Steve Donoghue have started up a travel sort of book club thing. So every month they're going to read a piece of travel writing, and they're kicking off with A Time of Gifts. And this is a book I've been wanting to read for a very long time. So I found myself a copy, and I'm really excited to read that next month in April. And then finally, this is one where I don't really know why I picked it up, but I did. And it's a Penguin classic of The Republic by Plato. And I keep on sort of popping over and just reading bits and bobs from The Republic, because there's a translation of it available for free on Project Gutenberg. And so whenever I need to sort of check out what's going on, and if I want to, I don't know, if I've read something and it sort of reminds me of The Republic, I just go back to Project Gutenberg normally. Yeah, for some reason I just thought it'd be nice just to have a physical copy around. So I've got a physical copy, and I've never actually read The Republic all the way through. I've just sort of read. I'm really not talking very well today. I've just read just sort of various passages when it seems to sort of link up with something, when it's been like referenced somewhere or something. So yeah, I got a copy of the Republic. So I'm looking at all these, seeing if I can do like a Steve stack, because it seems just like the traditional thing to do. I'll see how it goes, and if I break a limb, then I break a limb. So, The Republic by Plato. We've got A Time of Gifts by Patrick Leigh Fermor. We have got, I'll move the snow out of the way, sort of a new sort of edition of the Duino Elegies by Rilke, from Pushkin Press. The other really quite cool thing with that, actually, I've got to say, is that they made the choice, the Sackville Wests, to translate it into blank verse, So, sort of like it's what Paradise Lost is written in. It's what like the soliloquies in Shakespeare are written in, and stuff like that. So it's sort of very heroic sounding, which is quite different to the Snow translation. But both are still quite fun. Then we've got The Leopard by Giuseppe di... Nope, I'm not going to say it. Lampedusa. Really, really sorry. Next up, we've got Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. I'll move the dead dust jacket out the way. We've got Yeats, The Man in the Masks by Richard Ellman. It's flopping around like a dead parrot. Ivan Turgenev, Fathers and Sons. We've got The Flight Journal by John W. Evans, which is a Rattle chapbook, and then issue 79 of Rattle Poetry. Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote. The Book of Imaginary Beings by Jorge Luis Borges. We've got Francis Ponge, Unfinished Ode to Mud. And finally, the Deathbed edition of Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. So there we go, a nice little haul. Again, most of them are just books that I'd like to have around, but you can kind of see there's already one I've started reading, and there's one I'm going to be reading next month for that travel writing book club. But there we go. I'll try to leave links to things that I've mentioned, people I've mentioned and stuff down in the description so you can check it out. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.